Welcome back to the ETF Inspector. It's Thursday, August 21st, 6 o'clock in the evening, and this is our daily recap for our Ultra Income Strategy funds by YieldMax. First of all, being Ulty, the YieldMax Ultra Option Income Strategy Fund, and then SLTY, YieldMax's Ultra Short Option Income Strategy Fund. They're not inverses of each other, they're just an inverse or opposite strategy. Reminder, I'm on X at ETF_inspector1. I let you know when videos are out, trades related to other videos I make, big news like today, hitting 4,000 subscribers. That was exciting. And just all kinds of, obviously, reposting YieldMax's announcement of SLTY, distributions, all that good stuff, everything related. And I don't post anything that's not related to the channel. All right, before we get into it, I do have a thank you, a shout out. I'm not sure if I'm going to say it correctly. Phenomena did a $5 super thanks earlier today. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. I also have a little bit of housekeeping to just to talk about real quick. I've separated videos. If you haven't noticed already, it allows me to get things out faster, and then while uploading one video, I can be working on the next rather than spending an hour to 2 hours just trying to prep everything. So with videos will come out kind of rapid fire and maybe a little bit earlier like this one is right now, but also as I've separated them, I'm starting to notice something. Here's LFGY, kind of what I thought. So the Ulty video got basically 2,000 views, and the LFGY got like 200 views. So we'll keep it around for a little bit, but that is possibly on the chopping block because it's a whole lot of work for a very little response. I did make a video that I didn't kind of put out as an announcement to you guys because it's not really talking about anything stock related. It's just I got my first check from YouTube today, so that was kind of exciting. Not actually a check, just a deposit. So I just kind of talked about that. If you're interested, great, but it doesn't talk anything about any YieldMax funds or any finance type related stuff at all. Let's see, Saturday's individual income fund videos also possibly on the chopping block, right? As you can see, we're getting close to a week out and it's only got 400 views. Not a lot of people watching those. So just trying to focus more attention on the things that people are watching the most and trying to get a little bit of free time back if things aren't really working out that well. Speaking of getting time back, I'm not going to be in as many live chats just because I'll be making one video while the next one's premiering, that kind of thing. And I'm probably not going to be able to respond to every comment anymore. I have been in the past, but if I can just kind of show you. So yesterday alone, put out videos that got 15, 4, 55, 59, and 5 comments. So I'm spending a large portion of my time. This one had 99 comments the day before. Spent a whole lot of time responding to comments. So I am still going to read them. I'll click the little the heart to let you know that I read your comment. But if it's not like a question, I'm probably just going to click a heart. If it's something that needs a response, then I will. All right. I think that's it. So let's go ahead and get into the coverage. As far as this is still going to basically be the Ulty video. I'm not going to spend as much time on SLTY, but we will talk about it quickly. So Ulty, trades-wise, we started out selling lots of shares of Galaxy Digital. We didn't sell completely out, though, but we sold a good portion, maybe just over half. So that brought in some money, obviously. We don't count that in our options premium or trading and loss, trading profit and loss. So I just kind of show it. I know some people want me to, some people understand why I don't. But either way, next up, Bitmine Immersion. Closing out, it's that time of the week. We're closing out this week, rolling the next week. So with that, as you can see, selling those protective puts actually brought in more than twice as much as the money that it was required to buy to close those short calls. So those puts helped us there. And then selling new for next week and buying protective puts again. As you can see, we're paying close to as much on the puts as we are collecting on the calls. Still a profit. Overall, $1 million credit. Webull, same thing. Now we're closing for August 22nd, rolling to the 29th. We dropping our strike price from 16 to 15.50. The put again brought in almost 3 times as much as what the call cost to close out. So that helped us again, and selling and buying the next put all in this collar strategy resulted in a $370,000 credit. Galaxy Digital, so we sold a lot of shares, so we had to close out the options related to those. And they were cheap because it was down big, but it didn't really get close to our puts, at least not the 2150s. The 26s made lots of money. So paying to close out 8 cents, 8 cents, 3 cents on all those contracts, 4 cents, 4 cents collected, and then bam, $1.88 per share on those 26 puts. So as you can see, they helped a lot. Now we started a put spread moving forward. So we've still got some shares and we've still got some options open on them, but we closed all these out and sold them. And then even though we don't have shares to go along with them, so we don't have a collar strategy moving forward, we just have a credit put spread where we sold 25s and bought 2150s. All in all, that resulted in a $4 million credit on the trade. Robinhood, closing the 113s for this week, selling 111s for next week. The put didn't do a whole lot, but it's not necessarily supposed to. It's just there in case of emergency. So we didn't have an emergency. Still brought in half the money that was required to close out, so it helped. And selling the new for next week resulted in a $183,000 credit. Oklo closing out 70s for this week, selling their puts. As you can see, the puts brought in more money than the closeout cost. Always nice. And then selling our calls at 73, so we're actually increasing our strike price there. Buying our puts at 61, and then also selling puts at 57. So in this case, they feel pretty safe that Oklo's not going to drop too much. So while they have that $61 put, they're actually selling a 57 to help offset the cost of it. So if the shares were to drop drastically, they would be protected with that $61 put until they got to the point of the 57. Then all of a sudden it would offset the rest of the way. But in any case, they're going to do this a couple times as we talk through these. I like it a lot. They've got protection at the same time. They're bringing in some money to help pay for that protection instead of taking as big of a loss on the purchase. $986,000 credit on that transaction. Palantir, buying to close 170s for this week, selling 162.50s for next week. Paid 17 cents. Our puts did a whole lot better. $2.70 a share times 1,700 contracts. So we had to spend $29,000 to close out, and we received $468,000, almost as much as we received selling next week's calls. All in all, $697,000 credit. Reddit closing out those. Is that 245 or 20? Yeah, 245s. For some reason, Reddit wasn't sticking out in my mind in that price range. It is. Okay, sorry about that. paying 8 cents and then selling those puts for $1.52 a share. Big difference there. Thank you for the puts. Selling next week's calls at 230. Buying new puts at 197.50. $570,000 collected. Rocket Lab closing out for this week, paying 15 cents, selling the puts for 7. So not a lot, but takes away a little bit of that cost. And then similar to what we just spoke about, where was it? On Oklo, Rocket Lab's going to sell next week's calls, buy their put, and then sell a put further out of the money just to help offset that cost. $864,000 credit. SMCI buying to close this week, selling for next week, dropping by $10 a share. That means that put did well, decent. So we went from 45.50s to 44.50s. Put brought in 5 times as much money as it cost to close out the call. All in all, $851,000 credit. New Scale Power, same thing. They're closing out for this week, rolling to next week, selling that extra put further out of the money to help offset the cost. Because if you take this sold put out of there, then next week we sold calls for 58 cents a share and we bought puts for 60 cents a share. We would have actually spent more money on the put than we received on the call, even though it was a winning roll. We closed 37s for this week, sold 37s for next week. But in any case, so I like the way they're doing this. Just help offset the cost. $1 million credit. And finally, Unity Software. Closing out what's left open for this week, rolling it to next week. Increasing our strike by, is that a 375 or a 3750? Sorry. If they would keep things in longer, I'd probably get used to them. I should have known Reddit for sure. 37s to 3750s, so not bad. Still made out on that transaction. Puts didn't do a whole lot. Helped offset oh, no, never mind. I was looking at the first line. So those puts just about offset the cost to close out the 38.50 calls. Those 35.50 puts rocked. 1.6 million, so more than double what it cost to close out. All in all, $2.3 million credit. $13 million credit total on all the options trading. If you didn't see that spaces, not to toot my own horn, but if you didn't see the spaces, not see, but listen to the spaces on Ambassador of Quan, where is it? I might not be able to quickly find it, but Ambassador of Quan had me on a spaces along with Max Convexity, and here's the announcement for this coming Saturday. I won't be on it. Max Convexity was there last time. He'll be there again. Parabolic Nurse helped with the co-hosting as well. So they had give a take. What's your look for next week? And what I said for next week is they're going to make the income in the options trading next week. It was just the way they had themselves set up from the end of the previous week. So, I mean, unless they get absolutely destroyed in options trading tomorrow, this will be the best options trading week yet that I've been covering. And I called it. Not that part matters. Okay, so how did the underlying holdings do today? Well, we start out with Affirm up 2%. They've still got some 75s and 77s in play for this week. They're sitting pretty perfect, real close to the money, just out of it. So we're almost making the biggest increase in value we can on the shares without having to pay to close out with a lot of money. So we like that. One trading day left there. AppLovin up 1.5%. It was 427.50s are still 2% out of the money. Then they also have 420s that have already been rolled the next week, 0.3% out of the money. AST Space Mobile down 0.2%. They've got 46.50s that are already rolled the next week, 3.3% out of the money. Bitmine Immersion, big loser today, down 7.8%. They rolled their further positions out of the money. They still have 53s in play. that are 10.5% out of the money. That dropped our value by 8 million plus just on that one fund dropping. Webull down about 0.5%. They closed and rolled. They're further out of the money position. They still have 15s in play for this week, and they already rolled some 15s to next week. They're 5.1% out of the money. Coinbase Global down 1.35%. These are still in play. 310s and 320s expiring tomorrow. 3.2 and 6.5% out of the money. And so when you listen to this week, basically these percentages now, with tomorrow being the last trading day in the week, is they would be ideal moves for the underlying to go up to win the trade and get the biggest increase in value. Obviously, they can go up past them and they'll pay to close them out and roll further out. But just as far as that have your cake and eat it too thing, if they would go up to but not cross those lines, it would kind of make for a perfect Friday. Credo Technology Group, big winner, up almost 4.6% today. These are sold out till September 19th. That's an oddity within Ulty, but it happens here and there. They're still 8.2% out of the money. And that's a 120 strike. CoreWeave down 0.8%. 91s expiring tomorrow are 0.23% out of the money, so they could sit right there. That'd be perfect. Or even go up a couple pennies. And they have 93s rolled to next week, 2.4% out of the money. It's put a lot of money to work lately. So First American Government Obligation Funds, basically they pulled the money out of there to pay us this past week's distribution. So we're down to $3 million sitting in there. Galaxy Digital down 2.5%. All positions left for this week got rolled today. They have 2550s already rolled that are 6.7%. And I shouldn't say rolled. These were closed out because they sold the shares going along with them. So we have these 6.7% out of the money calls left. And then, like we talked about, we sold put spreads even though we don't own, not associated with shares. Let me see something. If it's 15, no, it wasn't 15,000. It lined up with these numbers. Robinhood markets up 0.9%. They closed out the further out of the money positions. They still have 107s sitting pretty perfect, 0.6% out of the money expiring tomorrow. And they've got 112s already rolled to next week, 5.3% out of the money. IonQ up 1%. 3850s for this week and next week are 3.5% out of the money. And 38s for next week are 2.2% out of the money. Mara Holdings up 0.3%. They have 16 still in play for tomorrow, 3% out of the money. Nebius Group down 1.9%. This week's 70s are 5.7% out of the money, and next week's 69s are 4.2% out of the money. Oklo up 0.9%. They rolled their final positions left for this week. They have 68s and 71s, and those I keep saying these numbers quickly. I assume people watching know what we're talking about, but I'm always talking about the sold calls, short calls. So we're selling these calls out of the money to generate income. So we've got those sold at 68 and 71, 9,000 and 5,000 contracts at those prices, 1.2 and 5.6% out of the money. Palantir up 0.1%. They closed out what was left for the week and rolled it. They have 157.50s and 160s sold to next week, 0.8 and 2.4, call it 2.5% out of the money. Reddit up 0.13%. Again, closing out what was left for this week and rolling it. Next week's 225s and 230s are 2.9 and 5.1% out of the money. Rigetti Computing down 3.3%. These have already been rolled. Yep, just double checking. 1550s and 16s for next week are 8.6 and 12% out of the money. Rocket Lab up 2%. They were able to still close these for a win, roll them to next week. Everything else has already been rolled. 4150s for next week are already in the money by 3 cents, and they've got 4250s that are 2.3% out of the money. SMCI down 0.7%, closed and rolled what was left for this week. They have 44.50s rolled to next week already, 5.1% out of the money. New Scale Power down almost 1%, closed what was left for this week and rolled it. They have 35.50s sold for next week, 6.1% out of the money. We can see the bottom. The end is near. Target Corp down 1.6%. So this was odd yesterday. So they have at 100s that they rolled or didn't roll. So they closed out positions yesterday and didn't adjust them, didn't buy the new put or anything. And these are still left for this week. Apparently they didn't roll to next week, but closing out that put, they dropped another 1.6%. So the put would have made more money today, but nobody's got a crystal ball. How could you know that? Tesla down 1.17%. I shouldn't have scrolled yet. These have already been rolled to next week. 3.87% out of the money on those 332.50s. Unity Software up about 1.25%. Closed and rolled everything left for the this week, and they have 38s that had already been rolled. They're 4.7% out of the money. Upstart down 0.5%, 3.9% out of the money on 66s expiring tomorrow. And finally, Workday up a fraction. What do we go? We went from 227.49 up to 227.58, 9 cents. They're roughly 5.5% and 7.6% out of the money expiring tomorrow. 240s and 245s, evenly split, 1,750 contracts each. So all those moves, ups and downs, resulted in a decrease in value of $9.5 million. I did see a comment in this in the comments from yesterday's video saying how things kind of didn't make sense, right? How'd they bring in $74 million in value yesterday, but in options premium and drop by 12 million and overall go down, similar to today, right? How'd they bring in 13 million? Shares were only down 9.5 million. Why was Ulty down today? Now you've got the down from it being X day. That's not even considered down. But the reason being is because these values are changing live time. As these shares of all the underlyings go up or down, we'll say down, they're going to bring down Ulty's value. Because everyone, like my spreadsheet changes all day. I can check all day long. So obviously your higher end traders are going to have even more advanced stuff than that. So as that drops, that's going to show you that how your NAV's dropping. What you don't see all day long is they're trading, right? So you don't know if they're making money or losing money trading. So that's why Ulty could go down on a day where technically they pulled in 13 million and only dropped 9.5 million value. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, Ulty is still above 3 billion, but we're going to need a snorkel soon to keep it above the 3 million. We're dropping 10 million shares got sold out of the fund yesterday. So it's 544 million outstanding shares now. Some people panicking. That's okay. Everybody's not the same, doesn't have the same risk appetite. Maybe some people thought there was just free money here and jumped in, and then it started going down and they didn't like it. Basically, though, if you bought in at 6 and you've been paid out 4, if you bought in within the last... Hey, stop. Sorry. If you bought in 4 weeks ago at 6 and you got 4 payments and it's at 561 now, you're actually up 1 cent overall. And obviously that's not what you're trying to do, but at the same time, if you've been in any amount of time longer than that, you've collected a lot more distributions. Now, if you've been in since way before they made the changes, then you're down for sure. But hope that explanation helps. All right, tomorrow you're getting that 10 cents as long as you were in before the market started today. Sorry, now I'm trying to hold my dog back at the same time as talking through the video, and he wants a piece of a dog outside. Okay, SLTY. I should have brought this up earlier, right? We download our trades after 5:30. Ulty had about 60, 61 trades. Salty was nice to me, only had a handful. So we can go through this quick. They added another fund, Dell Technology. So they shorted it. They start off by just selling. They sold 1,700. This is contracts slash shares. It's shares if we're talking about an actual stock. It's contracts if we're talking about options. So they sold 1,700 shares, but they didn't have 1,700 shares. So now they're going to have negative 1,700 shares, but that generated income. The whole premise behind shorting, if you're not familiar with it, is they think it's going to go down. So if you sell 1,700 shares at $128.69 and it goes down, then you buy them at, say, $100, then you made the difference, $28.69. So that brought in $218,000. Our numbers are going to look funny for a little while we don't have all the information, but I just wanted to give you something. Then they closed their puts on that they had already just sold yesterday on A-Lab. I think it's Astera Labs. So you can see they had sold $16 or $160 puts. They closed those today and resold them as 167.50s. And then they also sold calls, but they're further out of the money. So it's kind of a way to generate income, like we talked about some of the funds, some of the underlyings over in Ulty just a minute ago. So they've purchased the 187.50s. They sold some 200s just to generate some more income to go towards paying for that insurance a little bit. That brought in $5,000. Then Dell, since they just started a new position in it, they basically have negative 1,700 shares. So now they're going to go ahead and sell 17 puts, buy 17 calls, and then again, similar to what they did with A-Lab, they're going to sell 17 more calls further out of the money to help pay for those. I'll call them protective calls. You're used to hearing protective puts, but this is everything's going to be opposite here. So that brought in $4,700. So all in all, now on Salty, I'm treating it a little different. One, because I'm here from day one, so I am including everything towards the trading profit and loss. Since I got it right from day one yesterday, right? I've already hidden those lines. I'm including the short selling of shares or the buying back, and I'll include the options themselves. Okay, so $228,000 was brought in today. Obviously, the majority of that coming from selling short the Dell shares. Now, if you go to Salty and you scroll down and you click on download the holdings, you're going to get that. So what I did, because I'm crazy, is I sat and I went through every single trade yesterday. Let's unhide it. I went through all these trades and I created a holdings from it. So I know how many shares they sold of each thing, and then I know what options they sold. It takes a whole lot longer. That's why I just wait for the download to come out normally, but I wanted to have something to show you. All right, so the holdings themselves, Astera Labs, everything's going to be opposite now, right? So there's negative shares instead of shares. And so then when a stock goes up, it's actually going to cost us money. As you can see, this increase of 2.95% today on Astera Labs actually cost us $6,000 in market value. It dropped our value because we need things to go down if we've sold them because you got to buy them back at some point. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Just for clarifications, here's one that went down, and so that increased our value. It's a little odd, I know, but everything, we're just going to have to think of it backwards. So now we're looking at the sold puts the way we would have been looking at the sold calls over in Ulty. They're how we generate income. So these 160s are almost 10% out of the money, even though it increased almost 3% today. Abercrombie and Fitch was up 1% today. Their $87 puts are still 6.3% out of the money. Applied Digital up 0.3% today. Their 1450s are 8% out of the money. Bloom Energy up 0.7%. Don't like hearing all these ups on this first day of shorting them. They've got 42s that are 6.3% out of the money. And I should mention everything was sold out not for this Friday since they opened. Just started trading on them yesterday. It's all sold till next Friday. CrowdStrike, they sold their 45 or 405s. Something's confusing me over here for a minute, so I might have to rethink. Oh, no. I got you. Okay, so they sold 405s. They're 2% out of the money. They bought 370s. So what they're doing there, a little bit different from selling a call further out of the money to help pay for the protection. They sold their put. They do have the call for protection, but then they bought a put further out of the money in the event that the stock really drops way past that 405, that there is a limit to how much they'd have to pay to close it out, albeit it's $35 spread. That was after today's 1.2% decrease. They're still 2% out of the money. That brought in $2,500. Enphase Energy down 3%, so good call on shorting them. They've got 34s, 1.6% out of the money, expiring next week. I just put this in as a placekeeper. First American Government Funds. I'm assuming they're going to have them, but I have no way of knowing. Actually, we could have seen it might have been like their biggest holding. Okay, cash and other is 6,900,000. I should have gone ahead and thrown that in the bottom column. GitLab down up 1.1%. $42 puts are still almost 5% out of the money. Intuit down 0.2%. 675s are 3.2% out of the money. Lululemon up just a hair, 6 cents total. Their 192.50s are 2.8% out of the money. Mara Holdings up 0.39%. Their 15s are 3.2% out of the money. Again, they have some protection as far as how if the stock were to really drop, they've purchased a put further beyond the sold put just to limit the amount that they would have to spend to $2 per share. MongoDB down 0.35%. 202.50s are still 4.4% out of the money. MicroStrategy, we're shorting them, down almost 2%. Good job shorting them. 325 puts are 3.7% out of the money. And finally, RH was up 1%, and their 207.50 puts are 5.2% out of the money. That all results, it actually updated afterwards. So in $105 of increase in value. So I know the numbers seem silly after a multi-billion-dollar fund, but we don't have anything yet for net assets, outstanding shares. I can tell you that SLTY closed at $49.96. They opened at $50, so they're down 4 cents on the first day, which is probably more just what people are willing to pay if they're wanting to buy into it or not, really, because what the things that we shorted resulted in our value increasing ever so slightly, and we brought in money trading, so we shouldn't go down when both things went up. So that would really only just be minor price fluctuations based on if people just wanted to buy or not. Here's what I wanted to talk to you about, though. I took the time and I looked up. These are not the 30-day IV. It's going to be going forward, or maybe I'll try to find 7-day IVs. But I looked up the IV on every single option here today, averaged them out, and gave it like a fund number, and then used that as the weight. And so they're looking at like 84%-ish. It seems like they're shooting for a very similar distribution rate as Ulty. So you heard it here first. Without a week's worth of without any information without anything, I think they're going to be shooting for percentage-wise very similar to Ulty. Very evenly allocated, roughly 7.14% in each fund. Let's see, it's basically 6s and 7s everywhere. So, all right, that's the coverage. Thank you very much. Video is definitely longer than I want it to be, so I'm gonna have to get through SLTY faster while it's so small. But dad joke of the day for you before we get this thing closed out. And as always, just thank you all so much for all the support, likes, shares, comments, everything. I'm still reading comments. I just can't, put in a comment on every single comment. All right, dad joke of the day. A century ago, two brothers decided it was possible to fly. And as you can see, they were right. History joke. Okay, have a good night. Good luck trading tomorrow, and hope you enjoy the video coming out so early you don't have to push your bedtime. Talk to you tomorrow.